We're going to be reading a whole new ball game here in Science World. So it says scientists investigate whether changes to baseballs have led to a record number of home runs. As you read, think about how changes to baseball's design could affect how it travels through air. Without a doubt, the most thrilling part of a baseball game is watching a player bash a ball out of the park. And if you caught a game this year, there's a good chance that you saw at least one home run. That's because in 2019, Major League Baseball players hit a total of 6,776 homers, nearly 700 more than the previous record, which was set in 2017. A staggering 14 out of 30 teams set franchise records for home runs last year, with 4 teams setting records for the most home runs ever hit in a single season. Since 2014, the Major League Baseball home run rate has increased by more than 62%. Some players, coaches, and scientists believe the uptick in homers has to do with changes in the materials they use to make the baseballs, which could affect how far they fly. However, after looking into some of the issue, MLB released a report in 2018 that stated contrary. It concluded that balls were indeed sailing farther than in the past, but that no changes to the ball's manufacturing could account for the increased home run rates. MLB theorized that players' shift to hit more fly balls than grounders had led to the rise in home runs. Still, baseball experts had their doubts. Many wondered, had baseball been secretly altered to increase the number of home runs? That, people have speculated, would have made the game more exciting, which in turn could boost ticket sales and TV viewership. Few things in baseball are as dramatic as a home run, says Meredith Wills, a sports data scientist at Sports Media Technology in California. With one swing of the bat, the entire game can change. So Wills and other researchers began to dig deeper to uncover whether something more was at play. Seam switch. Scientists like Wills first began noticing the number of home runs increasing in the middle of the 2015 season. After the 2015 All-Star Game, the halfway point of the Major League Baseball calendar, a new batch of balls had been delivered to teams. Suddenly, home runs skyrocketed. Pitchers also began reporting that balls felt different. They said that the seam, where the 2 pieces of leather that covered the ball are stitched together, it felt more pronounced. Pitchers also began experiencing more blisters on their fingers where they grip the ball at the seam. This injury can derail an athlete's entire season or worse. It's quite likely the pitching blisters he got during the time ended Aaron Sanchez's career, says Wills. Sanchez was a pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays and the Houston Astros. To see if baseball's design had been altered, Wills took apart balls from before and after the home run surge, something Major League Baseball neglected to do for its 2018 report. She measured and compared 16 different variables between the two. Only one factor stood out from the rest. The iconic red laces used to stitch the newer balls together were 10% thicker than the older balls. A thicker string has a higher tensile strength. That's the amount of force it can withstand while being stretched without breaking. The thicker laces cause the leather balls' covers to be sewn tighter, which makes their shapes more spherical. A rounder ball experiences less drag, which is the slowing force of air pushing against the object as it moves. This makes the ball more aerodynamic, so it can fly farther when hit. No one is sure why the baseball manufacturer started using the thicker laces. Wills believes Rawlings, the company that manufactures the facility in Costa Rica, simply found a vendor that sold these laces for less. The company didn't think such a small change would affect the overall design performance of the ball. Wills thought she'd solved the home run mystery, and then in 2019, the home run number spiked a second time, getting warmer. In 2018, MLB bought the Rawlings company. League officials said that the Major League Baseball even more input and direction of production of the ball. Around the same time, AAA minor league teams started using the same balls as big league clubs. So Major League Baseball needed to make a lot more balls in the same amount of time, said Wills. By the end of the 2019, minor leaguers had hit nearly 60% more home runs than in 2018. And Major League Baseball players reported again that the ball felt different. Many pitchers, such as Sean Doolittle of the Washington Nationals, said the ball felt slicker and was harder to grip. Wills studied the balls and made a surprising find. The red laces were back to their original thickness. Unlike in 2015, this variable couldn't explain why there were more home runs in 2019. However, the seams in the 2019 ball were significantly flatter than the balls used before 2019. Let's take a look at some of the pictures that we've got in here. So over on the left, there's a graphic that says the baseball inside and out. The modern ball was introduced in 1931 and hasn't changed much since. Take a look at the materials that make up this vital piece of baseball equipment. Number one is called the pill. That's the core. It consists of a grape-sized cork surrounded by 2 layers of rubber. The combination of materials makes the ball look lively or bounce so it can be hit farther. Number 2, the wool and cotton layers. These layers of wool and yarn are wrapped tightly around the baseball's pill. Wool springs back into shape after being hit. A thin cotton layer covers the wool padding. And the leather cover. A baseball's smooth exterior is made of cowhide. It's dyed white to improve the visibility and then cut into 2 figure 8 shapes. The leather pieces are hand-stitched together with waxed laces. The thread is red to help batters see the ball spin and predict how it will move. Here's a picture at the top right. It says Pete Alonso of the New York Mets belts his 53rd home run, the most of any player in 2019. Christian Yelich would have done a better job. Just going to throw that out there. We got a graph down here going up. The graph below shows the total number of home runs hit during each Major League Baseball season from 2004, all the way on the left, through 2019, all the way on the right. How does the data from the 2015 through 2019 support what you read in the article? Next page. Ooh, we got some pictures up here. The core, many centers of the ball called the pill, are weight to be wrapped in several layers of yarn. Look like a bunch of super bouncy balls. The pills are wrapped in yarn, and here's a cutter, and so they're cutting out all the different pieces that they finally stitch together. Next, Wills examined the ball's leather cover. It was the exact same material always used in the modern baseball era, but since pitchers complained about the ball's slipperiness, Wills decided to test the leather's smoothness. Wills removed a ball's cover and placed the material on a smooth wooden plank. She then gradually tilted the board. Once the leather cover begins to slide down the plank, Wills measured the board's angle. A smaller angle corresponds to a lower amount of static friction, a measurement of how much resistance a surface exerts on another surface sliding against it, meaning that the object had a smoother surface. Wills found that the static friction of the 2019 ball was about 28% less than the older balls, though it's not clear what has caused this. Normally, to get the leather cover to stretch tightly around the outside of the ball, workers must first soak the material in water and then leave it to air dry for about 2 days. It looks like the Major League Baseball decided to speed up drying by using some sort of heating process, theorizes Wills, cutting down the manufacturing time it would allow the Major League Baseball to produce more balls. Previously, Rawlings produced about 1.2 million balls each season, but with the additional demand from the minor league, Wills says production was increased to about 1.5 million balls for both leagues. If Wills is right, it would explain why the ball's seams were flatter than usual. During the heating process, the red cotton laces would shrink, pushing down on the seams to flatten them. That would, in turn, pull the ball into a rounder shape, making it more aerodynamic. It's like if you hung a t-shirt out on the line to dry and it got a little stretched out, compared with drying it in a drying machine, and the material shrinks, says Wills. Rawlings' goal, says Wills, is to make a good baseball with smoother leather that's round and has low seams. It turns out that they made a perfect baseball, which is bad for Major League Baseball, especially for pitchers. Wills' discovery, though, is only part of the story. Let's take a look at these pictures over here. These are the strings, thicker laces. The laces from a 2014 ball wrap 40 times over 3 centimeters, And the laces from a 2017 ball wrap 36. So these 2017 ones, they're thicker because it doesn't take so many wraps to do that. The outer layer, 2014, 2017, a little bit of difference. Ooh, this is a CT scan. It shows that the rubber used to make the pill is less dense than the other one. So, altered core, I bet that's what they're going to talk about, the altered core. In 2018, a friend and sports science researcher asked Nathan Beals if he could look into the chemical makeup of the Major League Baseball's baseball. At the time, Beals was a biomedical researcher at Kent State University in Ohio. While scientists like Wills had researched physical differences between old and newer balls, no one had studied the changes in the chemistry of the materials. Beals examined the balls used before the 2015 All-Star Game and in 2017 using a CT scanner. This medical imaging technology uses high-energy X-rays to take a picture of structures inside of an object. Like Wills, Beals discovered obvious differences between the balls. The pill dimension of the ball's center, called the pill, was the same. But he found a greater number of air bubbles within the rubber of the newer ball. That made the newer ball's pill about 57% less dense than the older ball. The density of the ball can potentially correlate with how bouncy it is, says Beals, and that could help explain why newer balls could rebound off the bat faster when they were hit. Like Wills, Beals believes manufacturing changes might explain the pill differ. In 2015, when the home run surge was first seen, Rawlings replaced old molds used to make the pills with newer ones which could have affected their composition. Even though the mystery behind Major League Baseball's spike in home runs may have been solved, the changes to the Major League Baseball balls have left many feeling uneasy going into the 2020 season. As of press time, when this was written, the start of the 2020 season has been suspended for at least 2 weeks due to the spread of the novel coronavirus. Teams and players are unhappy because they don't know what ball to plan for, says Wills. Baseball fans, too, are unsure of what to expect. Will home runs dip this season, or will the balls continue to sail out of the park at the same rate? Investigate it. Scientists design experiments to answer research questions. They collect data and closely examine the information to draw conclusions about the topic they are studying. Consider Meredith Wills and Nathan Beals' recent baseball design studies. Then answer the questions below. What phenomenon prompted Wills' investigation? What did she and others hypothesize were causing this to occur? What did Wills and Beals set out to investigate? How did they design experiments to answer their baseball research questions? Do you believe the scientists' findings support their conclusion that design changes of the Major League Baseballs have affected home run rates? Explain the reasoning behind your answer. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I hope you learned a little bit about the surge in home runs that were happening over that season.